If I'm not trying to force people to become like me, then they don't have the right to force me to be like them. Simple. Has anybody ever made you feel like you're just too much? Like loving you is hard work? Well, they're wrong. And I know what you're thinking. I haven't met you before. How do I know that you're not hard to love? Well, for starters, because you're watching this video. If you were such a terrible person who was impossible to love, why do you care? Why do you care about being easier to love? I used to think that I was so hard to love because, for most of my life, I just never really fit in, right? I was always the weird one. I just felt like, if I'm hard to love, why bother? A few things happened recently that made me just change my perspective and help me see the truth. Recently I would be having conversations with my mom and I'd be going on about, don't worry, that's my bad behavior. Oh, I'm so badly behaved. And one day my mom checked me and she's like, why do you keep saying that? Like, you're not badly behaved. Who made you think that? And that was my first insight into the fact that I had internalized other people's opinions and made it feel like the truth. The second thing was I was having a conversation with somebody about how some members of my extended family prefer my brothers to me. While I was having this conversation, I was making a joke, about how they prefer my brothers to me, but after I left, after the conversation was over, I just noticed that my heart was hurting, it had been uncomfortable for me to admit that it was painful. And not like I'm jealous of my brother or anything. I love him. I love them. I love my brothers. But it just made me realize that this was a weight that I had been carrying and I just needed to find a way to let it go. And the final thing that happened was I had a falling out with a friend recently and she just went on and on about how I'm such a bad friend and she needs to go make new friends and it's just really hard being my friend. And it made me feel like a burden, like my friendship was a burden that people had to carry, and that made me really sad. So I decided to just do some soul searching and ask myself, is it really that hard to love me? Am I such a difficult person to love? And I found out that, oh my gosh, I have friendships that have lasted long and me and these people are close and they don't have any problem with loving me. And that's when it made me realize that not everybody's called to love you. I'm not too hard to love. Some people are just not called to love me. They just don't have the capacity. And that's okay, right? That's okay. But what I will not do is go around life acting like I'm the one with a problem, right? I'm a unique person. I know that. I have a different way of thinking about things. I have a different approach to my life. And not a lot of people share that. And I'm okay with it. That's the weirdest thing, right? If you meet somebody and you realize that this person is different from what I'm used to, right? Then you can just choose, I don't want to be this person's friend because they're different from what I'm used to. But you don't start a relationship with them and then try to make it feel like, oh my gosh, they're too much and you can't handle it anymore. Do you understand? So I just want to let you know that you're not hard to love. You just need new people. Maybe the reason why you feel like you're hard to love is because you're surrounded with people who are not called to love you. And it's time for you to reset your relationships and actually start to spend time with people who love you, who are called to love you, who accept you as you are, who will help you grow, obviously, because I'm not encouraging that you say, oh, this is how I am, I don't have to change. I'm a person who's very committed to changing and improving my character as much as possible. But I'm also learning that I'm unique and I'm different. And if I'm not trying to force people to become like me, then they don't have the right to force me to be like them. Simple. You have your way of life, I have my way of life. We don't have to be exactly like each other. You respect my differences, I respect your differences. We can still be friends. We don't need to agree on everything. So if I'm okay with your differences, I'm okay with your uniqueness, then you have to accept my uniqueness as well. Doesn't mean I'm hard to love, it just means I'm different. So same for you, right? You just need to meet some people who appreciate your uniqueness, who appreciate your differences, who are ready to love you with your differences, who are open to telling you when you need to change, but do so from a place of, constructive criticism, from a place of love, not making you feel unworthy or not making you question your worth, but letting you know that, I think you can do this better. So if you've been feeling like you're hard to love, or you're just surrounded by people who keep trying to optimize you, to change you, to force you into fitting into their own mold. Here are 5 signs you might actually need a relationship reset. You can't be yourself around them. If you're surrounded by people that you need to become a chameleon to hang out with, to spend time with, if you just feel like you can't be yourself, like you have to put on this, you need an alter ego to satisfy the people that you're with, then that's a sign that you probably need new friends. You only bond over negativity. I used to have a friend that the only thing we could do with each other is gossip. If there was no gossip involved, we had no chemistry, we had no connection, we had nothing to talk about. And as I don't want to be the kind of person who spends her whole time gossiping, I'm not saying I'm above gossip, I like gist as much as anybody else, but the entire purpose of our friendship cannot be that we're gossiping. I think there's a thin line between gossip and just being a distasteful, evil person. Because it's one thing to just talk about something that's happened in another person's life. It's another thing to just feel the need to bash and drag them through the mud and just say terrible, horrible things about them. And this is what that person used to do. And so I couldn't be a friend anymore because I don't want to be that kind of person. So if you find that you're surrounded by people that you can only bond with over negativity, then yeah, you need a relationship reset. Some people just drain the life out of you. If every time you're done talking to your friends or maybe even your partner, you feel sad, you feel exhausted, you feel bad about yourself, then you probably shouldn't be around that person anymore. Conversations with the people you love should fill you up. They should give you energy. They should inspire you. And I know not all the time, right? Once in a while, if you have hard conversations, then yes, you will feel bad. But that should be the exception to the rule, not the normal experience, right? So if you're having conversations with people, with your friend group, and every time you're done talking to this person or these people, you always feel bad and sad, that might be a sign that you need to change your friends. They constantly make you question your worth. Some of the biggest blows to our confidence come from people close to us. If the people you love constantly make you feel small and insignificant, then you might need a relationship reset. Actually, you do need a relationship reset, not you might need one. And finally, you're always the smartest person in the room. If there's no one in your friend group or your family or in any of your relationships who pushes you, who challenges you, who inspires you to be better, then you're in the wrong room and you need a relationship reset. You need to find at least one friend that encourages you to be more, at least one person who's smarter than you, because if you're smarter than everybody, then, like I've said it before and I'm going to say it again, you're not hard to love. You just need a community of people who can accept you as you are, and even if there are changes that need to be made, they will love you into improvement. It will not be bashing, it will not be making you feel like a burden, it will not be criticizing you constantly until you feel small and insignificant. So if you've been feeling this way, if you've been feeling like you're a burden, you're a cross that somebody has to carry, then it's time for you to make some new friends. I hope you meet your tribe soon, but before then, fall in love with yourself, because if you treat yourself well, other people will treat you well. If you want to know how to build richer relationships, check out this video I did here. And thank you for watching. It was nice to have you here. See you next time. Bye.